Welcome back to another episode of Stereotherapy. I'm your host, Lisa, and today I'm joined by two friends of mine to talk about an incredible record. If you clicked on this, you know we're talking Futures by Jimmy Eat World. I'm so excited to talk about this one. Anyone that knows me knows I will use any excuse to talk about this record. I'm joined by Anthony and Pat, and I'm going to go ahead and let them introduce. Obviously, Anthony, you've been on the podcast, but it was audio only, so now they get to see you. So whoever would like to go first, go ahead and introduce yourselves, guys.
Alphabetical, so Pat, you go first.
There we go.
Thank you, Lisa. My name is Pat. I am a New York-based producer, and I do a lot of music composition and mixing for film work, podcast work, commercial work. I am the host of Gindicated, an emo cocktail hour, where we make craft cocktails inspired by some of our favorite albums.
Yes, and I can confirm it is a very good podcast, guys. Like there are it's such a cool and unique podcast because like I say, everybody has a podcast. I'm obviously guilty of that now, but yours just has such a different take to it. And that's why again, like I'm so excited to have you on and push people both of your guys' way because what you both do is amazing.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Gindicated. All the cocktails are always a pleasure to enjoy. So that's always nice. Um, for anyone who doesn't know me, I'm Anthony Mandelli. I'm a writer and editor for Noise Protocol. It's a newsletter focused on DIY bands in the underground scene and DIY space. A lot of hardcore bands and indie bands around New Jersey. We also have a strong focus on digital privacy and all kinds of anti-surveillance capitalism. That's pretty important these days. I deal with that a lot in my day job, so I try to help people take the things that I learn, which are frustrating to learn, and make it more interesting and easier, and actually practical for people.
Yeah. And again, I can confirm, Anthony is a great writer. That is something I am not good at. That's why I do this, because I don't have that ability. And I remember I was talking to, I believe it was Daniel Rinaldi, Bed Light for Blue Eyes, and we were like talking when he was on, and he was like, Anthony is such a great writer. Like he is an amazing writer in what he does, because obviously you spoke with him and that just I'm like, yes, he is. So anybody listening or watching, all links below to check out both of these projects because I think if you like our show, you'll definitely like both of their takes.
Give Bed Light for Blue Eyes a listen. Uh,
Yes.
what a great band. Love
Saw them
Dan.
in 2006.
Ooh, that's what it was like. I thought I saw them with Newfound Glory, and when I was on with Daniel, I almost like had a moment where I had to peel back because it was almost like a fangirl moment of like, I'm talking to you, but like we're talking music and mental health, and it's really cool, full circle moment. But like,
Mhm.
I saw you in 2006 with Newfound Glory, and like I was too shy to say hi to you, and like here we are in a Zoom call. So, so cool.
I saw you in 2006 as such a threat.
Oh God, I
It was
feel
it
so
was it was
old.
Bedlight and Punchline, I think, was at that show too. That's a throwback band.
Such a
Yeah.
throwback band right there. Oh my God, yeah. I don't think I. Oof. It had to be the early 2000s I saw them. Like,
Mhm.
but hey, they're great. But obviously, we are getting into Futures by Jimmy Eat World, their fifth studio record, which is amazing to even think about. It was their fifth. And it just had a birthday, so it is 21, so it can drink a cocktail made by Gindicated if it wants, which is awesome. It was October 11th. Spotify was telling me October 19th, but I don't know what that was. I keep seeing it was October 11th. So if I'm wrong, don't kill me in the comments or anything like that. I don't know. I'm just saying it came out in October. So perfect fall record. We obviously had Work, Future, and Pain as the singles. And this was definitely well received by so many people and critics. So even if you're not a person that loves critics and all that, fans seem to love it. We loved it. We're here talking about it. So I would love to know for you guys your first impressions, what you loved about this record, and how you found it. I mean, obviously, we were all fans of Jimmy Eat World probably prior to this record coming out. So, Pat, if you want to start, where did you find this record?
Yeah, I mean, I first found it through the singles. I mean,
Yeah.
Pain was such a huge song, and I remember just like every morning before school watching MTV or Fuse, and like that music video was on all the time. And the sound was just so reminiscent of like that like high octane energy that I had with like Sweetness or Bleed
Mhm.
American. So it definitely got me really excited for it. And then when I finally got my hands on the album, um, there was so much depth to it, a lot of texture, and so emotional, like brought me back to like Clarity days. And I just immediately fell in love with it. Anthony, I know you have thoughts about the production behind it, but I truly appreciated good production that Gil Norton put on that record. And uh, to this day, Clarity will always be my favorite, but Futures is a close second.
Yeah, I get a lot of comments when I've ever said like Futures is my favorite, it's the best, and everyone's like, "Well, how old are you?" It depends. Listen, I loved Clarity. I love it so much. I love Bleed American. But again, this record, there was something about it. So it's like, I don't care. I'm like, I'm old. Like, trust me. Like, I am not this young person saying this record is the best. Um, but yeah, I agree. Like, something about this record grabbed me as well. And it stuck with me. And I remember I found this record when where was I? I was working in Chili's and they would play it. Which was weird that like Chili's was playing Jimmy Eat World at that time, but there was this one channel they would find that had like Arcade Fire. I think Mute Math was on there and then Jimmy Eat World.
Nice.
And which was really awesome. Like my manager, when he found it, he was like, "Oh, this is a Lisa station. This is it." And I just was like, okay, like I already loved Jimmy Eat World, but like something about this record coming out in the fall. And I was just in a place where I was ready for this kind of record because whether it was heavier music or pop punk I was listening to, this just provided something so different. I loved it right away from like the album cover too. Like I'm a big album cover person. So seeing that cover, I was
Have
like,
it back there.
this sets the tone. This there we go. Like this sets the tone for what I was about to hear. And yeah, I could go on about this record. Like just the first time I heard it, and then somebody like a coworker being like, "What are you listening to?" And I'm like, "Jimmy Eat World." Like it just came out, Futures, and then they were hooked, and it was just like that conversation of, yes, we all know the middle. We love the middle. If that's the only Jimmy Eat World song anyone knew at that time, but this to me was like, this is where they got their sound, I felt, to come on the other records to come. Like if you hear Futures, it's like, yeah, then you hear Chase This Light and all the records to come. And they're that fine wine band, much like Thrice to me. Like this band is like consistently from Futures on. Um, but that's how I found it. So Anthony, I gotta hear, how did you find this record?
So I will say off the bat, I do love the record. I do love the production, and I do love how it sounds. I also just love all of the lore behind it, but we'll get into that. For me, I was a big like punk and pop punk all the time. I was listening to um Blink-182 and Green Day, obviously were the biggest bands at the time, but I was lucky to have a friend whose older brother was like really into Jawbreaker, which was really convenient because that kind of prepped me for a lot of the, bands that would start coming out of the New Jersey scene a little bit later. Um, and so, I mean, I was really into Bleed American, but I mean, like Bleed American that was the album we had from Jimmy Eat World for a few years before Futures, right? So as we're sitting with Bleed American, like I loved Sweetness, I loved the middle and everything, but then I'm starting to listen to Census Fail, I'm starting to get into Thrice, Artist in the Ambulance comes out, Let It Enfold You comes out, Madison, I'm starting to like Madison Forms and I'm starting to get into them. I discover Paulson and the New Brunswick scene. So all of a sudden now I'm listening to Thursday and like all these other bands and to me at the time, the like Bleed American almost sounds charming, right? And so like I'm discovering all of these like these darker sounds, these heavier sounds. And so like I never disliked Jimmy Eat World, but it wasn't engaging me in the same way. And then I heard Pain, and I was like, so this is just straight up a song about pain meds, and like that guitar sound is super
So
cool, right?
good.
Mhm.
Yep.
And so I'm like, all right, this is amazing. And then when the album comes out and you listen to Futures, like that riff in the beginning of Futures is just like that was awesome. Like Sum 41 did something similar with Chuck, right? When that album came out. But just like the way that the guitar sounds, it was at the same time very Jimmy Eat World, but I just appreciated that, I don't know that if it's necessarily heavier per se, but they went with a much more aggressive sound. Their guitars were much thicker and they just had a lot more heft to them, to the sound, and they took up a lot more space in the production. And well, again, in the production of what you eventually heard, right? In what we know. And it's such an interesting story because when anyone says Futures, you think of Pain, you think of Futures, you think of some of these other tracks, but it's like those were also, they defined the sound that defines the album for me, but they're also, they have a very different relationship with the rest of the album. So
Yeah.
yeah, that was I guess that teased a little bit what the big thing that I think about it, but ultimately, yeah, it was for me the album that re-hooked me onto Jimmy Eat World and reminded me like why I really like them as songwriters.
Yeah, I love that. It's interesting. Like later on, when we talk about like a song that we didn't like at first and came around to, you both had mentioned one of mine. And I know I'm going to get killed for it probably later when I talk about it because people love this song and it's a favorite song. But for me, it didn't resonate at first. But that's what I think too about this record is for a lot of people I know, they either jumped in and were introduced to Jimmy Eat World or they fell back in love with them or fell back into them with this record because some people fell off. They were just like, okay, they're everywhere. Like if you're one of those people that were like, they're everywhere with the middle, at least on my radio station back in Chicago, like that's the middle was like, just like everywhere. That's all everybody knew Jimmy Eat World by me. And I'm like, come on, guys. Like they have much better songs than that. I still love that song. I still will turn it up every time I hear it. I love it so much. But I just felt again like this one really to me, this record showed me like, hey, there is more to them than the singles you hear on the radio or whatever you think Jimmy World is. And that's why I think I really gravitated towards because yeah, 2004, I was just graduating high school. So for me, getting out of there and then going to college, and it was just that perfect record for that age, I felt too.
I
Hmm.
like same for me. Like I was a junior in high school when this came out. And loved it when it first was released, but I found I connected to it more when I was in college, like being away from home, being on my own, had my first breakup, like all that sort
Hmm.
of stuff. Like there
Right.
was just, yeah, there was just so much that you connected to it during that time.
Yeah. And then it's fall. Again, it's fall. There's always, whether it's a breakup or whatever, you need that perfect record to cling to during that. And that's like where it was like my little hug during that time, going through like my first big breakup. It was like, oh my gosh, all right, this record is out. It is here. It is talking about things, especially a song like Kill, like I'll get into later. Like that was like a favorite. Like that song, yeah, it's just everything. But I mean, too, like Anthony, I know you touched on it a little bit, like uh your production thoughts. Like, let's get into this lore. Let's get into all this and what you think, because I haven't heard too many people talk about that.
So right. So I Futures is probably is I would say probably my favorite Jimmy Eat World album. And for a lot of reasons. Um but what's cool about and crazy about Futures, if you go and you try to listen to it anywhere, or you're going to like track it down, there's like five different versions of the album between all of
Mhm.
the demos and like the bonus track versions, but there's one that is not very easy to find, and it's the Futures Trombino sessions. And this is the version of the album that was produced with Mark Trombino, who, if you read Dan Ozzi's book Sellout, Mark Trombino might as well be like the supporting character throughout the entire thing. I mean, he's worked with basically, at some point or another, he's worked with all of your favorite bands, right? He's worked with Mineral.
Mixed
Yeah.
produced,
Mhm.
engineered, like, yeah.
like yeah, like everything from like 95 on, I went down a rabbit hole of a random obscure indie band called Alive in Wild Paint. They only released one album, and of course Mark Trombino produced it, right? Like
Right.
he's everywhere. And he did Static Prevails, right? The band had a
Hmm.
really good relationship, and I'm pretty sure he did, like he's, they had a really long-standing relationship. Um and so they went into the studio with him and basically produced an entire album, but were just really, they were kind of unsatisfied with it. And they felt that, it wasn't the band felt that it wasn't the album they were trying to produce. Um, and, basically because of scheduling conflicts, the reason why Mark has worked with every band is because he is constantly working, with bands. And so he didn't have any more time in his schedule. And Jimmy Eat World kept saying, postponing, saying, we're not happy, we're not done, and kept pushing it back. And he couldn't work with them anymore. So they basically, they left and then started over again. That's when they brought in Gil Norton and were recording in, I think, Los Angeles. Um, and that's actually where they wrote like Futures and Pain, and like, the songs that I think even possibly even 23, like the songs that this album is known for actually came out of the writing sessions with, with Gil Norton later on. And so, when I say like, I love the production of Futures and, the sounds that you hear, it's referring to the version that is ultimately that was released, and that what people hear of, that when, that they think of. But there's this totally other version that just does it sounds like a completely different band. And, granted, it's not a complete album. It was never meant to be, the band never intended this to be presented as like this is a complete, work from us. But it totally stands on its own, this version of it. And there's songs on there that are not on any of the other demos. And one of them is one of my favorite Jimmy Eat World songs. It's Jennifer or Jen. It's just like such a like catchy song. It's like a super, super basic like pop punk song. It sounds like an early like Death Cab for Cutie song or whatever. But this album, if they released this version, I love it. It's a great album. It is not Futures, and it is not in the trajectory that Jimmy Eat World took after Futures released. It's much more of a like lo-fi, like it's,
Hmm.
it's
It's very
we have
lo-fi,
the
yeah.
facts and we're voting yes, like early like Death Cab kind of like almost like Promise Ring, which
It does feel
is,
very
not
promising, you're right,
surprising.
yeah.
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 I
No.
wasn't Jen the song that they said like we want this on the album, and Trombino was like, if you guys put this on the album, I'm walking away? Or was that
Yeah,
some
yeah.
sort of room? Yeah.
Wow.
Because
Oh,
it's not a sophisticated song by any like
No.
stretch.
no.
And, Jimmy World, like there's a great line in from Sellout when one of the A&R guys first got a hold of some of the Jimmy Eat World demos. His reaction was like, wow, these kids know how to write songs. Like they're doing good things with their song structure. And so Jen is just not that. But it is a really good, fun, charming song, and it's probably the one that I end up humming to myself more than any other.
You sent me, I think you were the one, Anthony, that sent me that. I'm pretty sure somebody in my
Probably.
DMs, or maybe I don't know, but I
It had
remember
to be me.
listening to that song, like you said, like Jen, it was like, yeah, would this be, I don't know if this would be like a Jimmy Eat World, like what people envision Jimmy Eat World to be. And listening to that, it was like, but again, I think it was a really, I wish it would have been more people. I bet if I go on TikTok or anywhere, hey, have you heard of this song? The majority are going to say, no, what's that? Is that even a Jimmy Eat World song? No, I know XYZ, or even like some of these songs on this one, half of them, they go to like, they know work, they know pain.
Hmm.
Um, but I think like that's what's really cool. And I think anyone listening or watching is going to get that bit because I bet a lot of people don't even know that unless, of course, again, they're into Jimmy World, they know that. But if I asked half of my friends, they wouldn't even know. They're just like, okay, Futures came out this date. This is what it was.
Hmm.
Mhm.
I love or hate it.
It's yeah, there's a lot of, story behind, behind that album. And when you hear like it's the trombino version, it's I think it stands alone as an album just in its own right, and it really is. There's maybe 50% overlap. Or in terms of tracks, I have not done the math, and I was an English major, so I'm not going to try to do it quickly. But there's some overlap of tracks, but it's not a complete just like it's not just demo versions of the Futures. There are
Mhm.
songs on
There are
there
those,
that
yeah.
are only on this version of the album. And it just tells a very, very different story of, the path that Jimmy Eat World was potentially taking. And I mean, it's telling that they decided that that wasn't the way that they wanted to go. And as you said earlier, Lisa, when you listen to Futures now, you can hear like Chase the Sled, you can hear Damages, you can hear a lot of
Yeah.
their subsequent records in Futures. And I'll tell you what, you do not hear any of those records in like the Trombino sessions, which is not a knock on it. Like again,
Right.
I love it, but it's like, you know, it's much more that like promise ring kind of sound than where that like almost like like more polished pop punk emo sound that Jimmy Eat World ended up following.
Which people like they kill you when you even label Jimmy Eat World like a potential like emo band. They're like they are not emo. Like there's so many arguments these days about what is emo, what is not emo. And I'm just like, to me, they always were. Like that's how when I came up in music, and even like people get me on like Dashboard too, another one. Like those were my emo. Like it was Jimmy Eat World, Dashboard, um, even like Death Cab was another one I considered that. And like these were my kings. And I get like people that are younger and maybe don't have that, but Jimmy Eat World had its place in that emo realm for me coming up in the 2000s, being a teenager and finding this music. So it's like, no, no one kill me in the comments that they're not an emo band. I don't care. I'm not going to fight anyone. And like first wave, second wave, third wave, fourth wave, everybody talks about. Um, they're so important. And I think too, like we have to talk about obviously like our favorite tracks on this one. I would love to know you for you guys, and Pat, we can start with you. What are some of your favorite tracks on this record?
Yeah, for me, you mentioned Kill before, and I just put my hands over my heart. Like that was the song that when I heard it, I was like, this is something special.
Yeah.
And I love the guitar work on that song. There's no chorus in that
Mhm.
song, so it feels so vulnerable and on it, almost like it's a letter in a way.
Yeah.
And it's just so much emotion in that song. I absolutely love it. Um, Polaris is in my top five Jimmy Eat World songs of all time. Like you talk about a good chorus, a good hook, like that one is incredible. Once again, really love the guitar work on that one. Um, and finally, I was gonna say 23, but I'm gonna say there's nothing wrong with nothing wrong.
There we
Um,
go.
I like throughout Jimmy Eat World's catalog, like there are just some songs where they're just like, screw it, let's just jam and let's just like make this ripper. And that is this one on this album. Really great, like very angular, dissonant guitars. Tom has vocals on that one. They go back and forth to Jim. Um, some screams. I don't know if you ever noticed that there are some like minor
Mhm.
screams towards the end of that song, and probably it's my favorite drum track on this album. And I don't think Zach gets enough credit as a drummer. He's so disciplined and he knows when to hold back, and like that restraint is just a quality of such a good drummer. Um, Lisa, I know you're a big Smashing Pumpkins fan. Like
Mhm.
Jimmy Chamberlain is my favorite drummer of all time, and it's the
Yeah.
same sort of thing. It's just like knowing that your role is to elevate the song and support the song. And Jimmy's always talked about that. And I see the same thing with Zach. Just that ability to just have your drum part be a part of the orchestration and a part of the arrangement of the song, and nothing flashy or anything like that. Just good, solid drumming.
Yeah. Oh, I love that because that's the thing too. Like a lot of people, they do, they think these days too, something has to be big and flashy. And I'm a person, either it's the vocals or the drumming I always go to in a record. I'm not a musician at all. So like for whatever reason, it's always been that. And I can hear that in that. And I think that a lot of people, those choices I hear all the time too. And I'm interested to see if we have some different ones. So Anthony, I'm going to go ahead. What are your favorites on this one?
Uh, I mean, my favorite parts or aspects of the album are how they really embraced like slower tempos, heavier, thicker textures. It was just like the album, it felt more mature. Like it literally felt like, their voice got deeper, right? Between the first album and or not the last album between Bleed American and this one. So like I mean I super gravitate towards like Futures is just
Mhm.
that song is so indicative of the whole album. I think it opens so aggressively and just like it really sets the tone for the whole album. So like that's just like s- a slam dunk for me. Like everything about those guitar textures there, like the instrumentation in that, it's just like it's really excellent. Um, Outside of that, I mean, 23 just is, it's one of their biggest songs. It looms so large in my heart. But, what they did there, the band, they really learned a lot about how to build these like impressive, almost like cinematic songs. They learned how to do that really well with Clarity and Bleed American, and I think that they put that to good use here. Like 23 is such like a huge song. But then also the song that I mentioned earlier, like Jen off the Trombino sessions, um, when people say like, oh, Jimmy World isn't like an emo band or anything like that, Jen is so much like uh a leftover from Static Prevails in a way.
Mhm.
It's got this like very it's got this very like authentic straightforwardness to it, just like the melodies and the guitars are like they're subdued in a way that lets you really just kind of zone into the song and the lyrics, and it's a very I think it's very the most Promise Ring song, the most like early Death Cab song, and it's really interesting to hear that and contrast it with, well, the Future's the album that was finally released, and then everything else that they've done since then.
Oh, yeah. And again, like I'm gonna have to like maybe put like a link just to Jen, like in that listen to that because I loved early Death Cab. I know like we're talking about Jimmy Eat World, but like early Death Cab, just that sound that they had. And again, I love what they do now. I absolutely adore them, but like there was something so special about that. And again, no one argue. I don't care. We're right. Emo band, Jimmy Eat World said it. And I agree. Like those songs, like 23 is one of my favorites. And it's like, it's wild because it's a over 7 minute song, like 7 minutes and oh gosh, I forget how much, maybe even like, I think it's like 20 seconds or something like that. And it's one of those songs that typically I don't listen to long songs. I'm like, give it to me. Give me those short, to the point, like 3 minutes to catch my attention, but it catches my attention from the minute it starts till it ends. And I always have to listen to it if it's like on shuffle or I just am like, you know what? I want to listen to 23. Like we do these song clubs for Never Phase Network and hop on TikTok. I 9 times out of 10 will put 23 on. And I don't care how many times I have because I'm like, I want everyone to like know this is like one of the best songs they have in their catalog. That and then obviously like Dizzy off Chase This Light are like my
Wow.
all time. Those
Underrated
two,
album. That album is
oh,
so underrated. Yeah.
so
Hmm.
underrated. So it's like those two are like my top two songs ever read them. So I'm like, all right, I got to put 23. Then of course I got to put Work because Work, that one as a single grabbed me and the music video that went along with
With
it.
Jim's weird haircut.
Oh, yes. Right. There you go. It's the haircut. And it's like wild to like, I think back to like, again, going back to like MTV, watching MTV, seeing Work come on. And I always loved Jimmy Eat World. But again, like that song, again, where I was in life at that point, going through what I was. I was like, I just love this song. Like I can picture like being outside, walking in the cold with this in my ears. This is it. I still love it so much.
Hmm.
That's why I'm like, I have to pick that one. Um, and then obviously Kill. I had to put Kill because like again, I love the way you put it, Pat, where it's like a letter. It is so like just the lyrics and there's just a minute and like there's a moment at like 2 minutes and I think it was like 30 seconds I wrote down that I'm just like every time it gets to that point I'm just like where it's like I loved you and I should have said it.
Hmm.
Well, like, tell me like it if anyone has never heard that, which I doubt, if you're listening to this you probably have heard it, but it is so good and I cannot like
For
oh
me, like it's the oh God, please don't tell me this has been in vain. Like that big like drum hit right there, it chills. Yeah.
every time and it's like I can't express like again, we're so many people if I ask them their favorite Jimmy Eat World, maybe it might not be on this record. And like I get it, but like me, I it's always one of those three. I'm always like, these are my favorites. I can pick some off Clarity, but I think about like what like from 2004 to now like 2025, like what do I listen to? It's these three are surrounding and some playlist or whatever. And I think they just take you. Like even like before we hopped on here, I'm like listening to it again. I'm just like, this is just so good. Like
Hmm.
to me, if I had to give a rating, I'm like it. I know I would say 10 out of 10 record, but someone's gonna kill me on that and say you have to say maybe 9 out of 10 just because there's a song I'll talk about that I didn't love at first. It just is it's that record that I think if you've never checked out this band and I wanted you to check them out, I mean, I would probably go to Clarity just to say, hey, this is their iconic everything they are. But I would go to this one too. Like, here are your two to check out, to then go through their catalog.
I agree. Bleed American is your spring and summer record. Futures
Yes.
is the fall record, and Clarity is a Christmas album, basically.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. There we go. We just got all our holidays like perfect because like that is so true. And I'm a seasonal music listener. So that is like I hone in on that all the time. And that's why it makes sense why I'm like, all right, I'm in the mood for futures now. We are in the fall. We are there. And now Chris, I never even thought of Clarity as Christmas, but it totally is. I see that.
There's so many references to snow. There's so many references
Mhm.
to there's I mean 1223 is the name of a song.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And for me, This Is Heaven
Oh,
is
Mhm.
my favorite Jimmy Eat World song. It's probably my favorite emo song. And that always just felt like almost like a New Year's Eve kind of song
Mhm.
to
mhm.
me. So it's just holidays in general. Yeah.
Oh. And even talk about them at Christmas. They have Last Christmas. They have that
They
cover
do
they
have the
did.
Last Christmas.
Oh
Yeah.
And it is
yeah, that's
so
right.
good. I love that. I like every year for Christmas, it's them. Obviously, like Fall Out Boy, You'll Shoot Your Eye Out.
Hmm.
There's a couple other people, but that Jimmy Eat World, like Last Christmas, it always goes on when I'm putting up my Christmas tree. I am just like, it is so good. They even do covers good. Like, what
Mhm.
else? There was some EP they did. I don't know if it was before or after Futures, but it was I think it's called Stay on My Side EP.
Yeah. I think that might have been, was that right before Futures? I can't remember.
Ooh.
I have Discogs opened.
There we go. Let us know because that one is one of that EP is one of my favorites. And it has like that song Over, which is one of my favorite songs again they've ever done. I know we're talking about features, but like there's so many things that they have done either before or after this record that I'm like, yeah, that's why I loved this and gravitated towards this because they had that sound that I have followed them like forever in their career because of the sound on this record. And watch, that EP is going to come out before, and everything I just said, someone's going to be like, yeah, that's not true. I can't remember when it came out. And I
Let's see.
know.
I have
Oh my
Spotify
God.
open
What
here.
was
Yeah.
it? Oh, sorry, what was it
It's like
called?
Stay on My Side EP. I want to say it's Stay on My Side. It's a green cover.
It
Oh,
came
they
out
just
a year after.
Okay.
Yep.
So all right, that makes sense. But they
well, they just
had
have
it's so
a
good.
million. Yeah, there it is. They just have a million EPs.
Yeah, yeah. Go through Spotify or something like
Oh,
that.
I just passed the Phoenix sessions.
Oh,
Those were so good, and Jim mixed those. Jim did all the
Um,
engineering work on those. Yeah.
Wow.
so today, right now, I have learned Jimmy Eat World released an album in 2019 called Surviving.
It's
Yes,
very good.
I think it's
Yes.
very good.
Yeah.
Whoa, this one has just completely been in my blind spot.
Yes.
The
Yeah.
the last song on that, Congratulations, you talk about them just jamming. That the ending of that song is insane. So definitely
Oh,
give that a listen. Yeah.
yeah.
This is
You
awesome. This is like I just got a bonus album. Like,
there you go. You got this is the bonus. So but that's the thing too. I think a lot of people like it's easy, like especially this year. There's so much music coming out. And like I know that was 2019, but still, but all this music coming out, it's hard to sometimes keep track. But I that's why the only reason I was bummed about this record and the anniversary was they only did one show. I understand why they did, but I was like waiting. I'm like, all right, do the tour, do it for us. I can just picture the lights on them, hearing these songs, and just how it would be. Um, but then they only did the one show in Phoenix. But
Yeah.
I knew they were only going to do that.
Did you see the 10 year?
No.
I went to that one. That was, you're right. Just you can picture the stage of just like the dark, moody, and just hearing Kill, hearing Polaris,
Oh,
hearing 23 in that setting it was unbelievable. Yeah.
oh, I wonder
One of my favorite shows ever.
when was that? When
That would have
so it's
been 2014.
so I would have still been in Chicago. I wonder why they definitely went there. There's no way they didn't go to
Mhm.
Chicago. I'm trying to think. Maybe I did, but I think I would remember that because obviously I love this record. I would have remembered that. When I saw them, it's been years, like literally, gosh, five, maybe 6, 7 years since I've seen Jimmy Eat World. Like I haven't
Mhm.
been able to see them. And I saw them, I believe it was the Riviera in Chicago. And so, yeah, it definitely wasn't this anniversary. Now I have to go back on my tickets and see, like, did I go to this? Because, like, I would have gone and I definitely was still there. And I think that they just put on such a great show. Like,
They
yeah.
do. That's probably the band I've seen more than any other. Like I try and see them once a year whenever they come to town.
Oh, yeah. I gotta look. Like, I know when they were on when we were young last year. I think it was yeah, last year they were on. And so many people said the crowd was not as hyped for them as they would have thought. They were all about like the other bands that were there. But I'm like, Jimmy Eat World, without Jimmy Eat World, so many of these bands, their inspiration is Jimmy Eat World. Like there might not be some of these bands without Jimmy Eat World. And I'm like, put some respect on them. You have to
Hmm.
go see them play.
Respect your
Like,
elders.
come on,
yeah.
respect your elders here. And then even like, so we talked about our favorites and what we liked about this record, but were there any songs that you heard and at first you were like I'm not really, but then you later came back to and like realized, hey, this is a really good song.
I would say that some of the high points of the album are just so outstanding
Hmm.
that like there's a few like okay, like Night Drive is a good
Oh,
example, or like Just Tonight, like The World You Love. These are all great songs that I had to think. I was like, I know there's a few songs between the beginning and the end of the album that I always like forget that just they don't always stand out in my mind just because there are so many iconic moments in that. Um and I mean that's a good problem for for an album to have, right? It's the kind of thing where I generally don't skip the song, but sometimes like I'm so excited to get to to get to work that I'm gonna skip for it, right?
right. Oh, I feel that. Like that's where the only song, and it's like a song you guys have brought up that you loved, is Pain. When I first heard Pain, I did not like it.
Hmm.
I did not like it. I was like, this isn't for me. And again, maybe the place. Now that I'm older and I listen to it now, I'm like, yeah, I feel it. I feel exactly what this was talking about. I don't know what it was, and I think it was just played so much around me because on all the radio where I was just like, if I hear this song one more time, I don't know what. Like I'm so over the song. But then it took me like a couple years later where I was sitting down back with the record and I was like, why do I not like this? This is so good. This is one of the best songs on this record. Why didn't I like it? And I really do think it went back to the point of like everybody was playing it, everybody around me, all the radio stations, the college radio stations, just everywhere was like just talking about this song. And I was like, I don't want to like this song because everybody's telling me to like this song. I don't want to. Um, but now I appreciate it and I can see I was absolutely wrong about Pain. It is so good. It is one of the best on here, one of the best in their catalog as well. So justice for Pain now.
I would say Pain for me as well, and
Yeah.
pretty much for the same reason. Like I loved the song, but I think I got so used to just hearing it, hearing it, hearing it. The same thing with like the middle when it came out. But
Yeah.
then you see them live and like, they always close with the middle. But
Mhm.
like that song just it just brings back so many memories of it's so nostalgic. And same thing with Pain. Pain is incredible live. And, Anthony, you brought up like Jim's guitar tone. Like that Telecaster tone is
Oh
so
my God,
good.
yeah, on that song
So,
in
so
particular.
good. Yeah.
That
So
lead at the end of the track is just like the
Oh,
sound of that guitar is just so like I don't know what they what they I'm gonna look it up as soon as we're done here, but just like the way that he gets that sound, yeah, in that like that ending there is just it's such an incredible lead part that just sounds like it almost sounds like it's borderline like comical. It's so
yes.
like it's so like the tuned up so much that like lead part and it's like it's not I don't it's not like distortion or whatever. Like I don't know, maybe you can tell
Well,
like what he's using on but
they had always said that like, they love like Def Leppard and bands like that, which is just that like over the top like rock sound. Like I'm
mhm.
sure that kind of came into play there. One thing that when you brought up just the sound of Futures, one thing that I read was that they actually hooked what's their bass player's name? Rich or is it Rick? It's Rich.
I think it's Rich.
R-
Rich.
Or
Um,
Rick
it's
oh,
Rick.
Rick
I gotta
Rick
Rich Birch.
Birch.
Birch,
It's
that's why. Okay.
Birch.
yes,
Okay.
that's
Um,
why.
they hook his bass up to a Marshall amp, which like I'm a bass player, like
Yeah.
putting a bass guitar
Yeah,
into a guitar amp is like a total
it's a
taboo.
no-no.
And that's how they get that like beefy sound for him. So it's very cool that they took that sort of risk to get that
How many
actual sound. Yeah.
speakers he goes through? Is that?
Yeah, it's like we
Oh,
use it sparingly. Yeah.
oh. But man, like again, it just goes back to like the little things they do and the little things you can find in their songs, right? Where like there's so many moments that you're like, whether you are a guitar player or you're a musician, you could hear, and then you're someone like me that's not, and then I hear something different in a different moment. And I think that's what's so cool about Jimmy Eat World songs, even live or on the album, that you can get lost. And especially like this record, like especially like again, 23. I get lost in that song and it just is like the buildup of it. And then again, seeing 23 live when I finally was able to, like that was the one song when I saw them, I was like, I just want them to play this. I don't care what else they play. I want to hear this and experience it even better in person. And it just shows like they're still killing it. Like they, again, yeah, I mean, they just released, I think the other day, right? A
Mhm.
single,
Oh yeah.
Failure. And listening to that, I was just like, again, they have not missed a beat all these years later. They're one of those bands, like sometimes after a while, you're almost like, all right, and not to be rude, but like, all right, listen, hang it up while it's still good. Don't get it to where I'm not even gonna name the band. There's a couple bands out there that I think like you did your time, you made awesome music. It's a little time to go away
Time to
for a
hang it
little
up.
bit. It's time to
Yeah.
hang it up. Jimmy Eat World just keeps pumping out these songs that it's like it's even better than their last. So I just yeah, this was in 2004 and we're in 2025 and they just released something and it's still so good.
Yeah, we got this year. We got a new Jimmy World song, new Motion City soundtrack, new Yellow Card, new
Yeah.
starting line, new
New
Between the Buried and
thrice.
Me,
Yeah,
new
new
Thrice.
thrice.
Like this is straight up 2005. Like
Hmm.
Yeah. AFI, throw AFI in there.
yeah, new
Oh.
AFI too. Like
You've got 2005 like all over again. And
Hmm.
it's wild. And they're all
What a
different
magical
sounds.
time.
You're right. What a
Yeah.
magical, like all different sounds. And it's just like, it's so cool to like grow up with bands like this, which is really awesome. And again, like I just appreciate you guys taking time and wanting to come on here and talk about this record with me because this was like sitting on where I was like, I need to talk about this record. I've only like briefly touched on it. I think when we did like a 2004 episode, but it was like so briefly. It was like, yeah, like futures. And then I knew I wanted to come back to it. So like this was so great for me to get to do this and have your different takes and then also just like nerd out about this record. But do we have any like final thoughts that we want to share about this record that we haven't, or do you think we've covered it all? It's just a great record.
it's just a great record, and check
Yeah.
out the Trombino
Check out the
sessions.
Trombino
Yes.
session.
Sessions.
Yes.
Check out the Trombino sessions for yourself. Like if people have, I'll put the disclaimer out that I love them for themselves, not because I think they're, better or worse than than Futures proper. So yeah, go into them that, and also go into them knowing that they were never released, like they were never finalized and released, so this is not a finished product. They are different. But if you like Jimmy Eat World, and especially if you're digging into their back catalog, the Trombino Sessioner, it's a rare opportunity to see like an album midway through its creation process, and it's super insightful, I think.
But like you think about that, like what a risk they took to literally go back to square one. I think only two songs from those sessions actually made it onto the final Futures album. So
Yeah.
what a to think that they had to follow up Bleed American after what four years since that album came out. Like to have an album not be happy with it and be like, we are going to go back to square one. We are going to start writing again. We're going to find a new producer. We're going to go out to LA. Like the amount of confidence that they needed to have in that new work is pretty amazing. So props to those guys.
Well, and I mean, I'm straight up paraphrasing from Dan Ozzi's book, which literally got it
Yeah.
right.
I love
Ah,
it.
in my
Somewhere
Oh,
back
it
camera
blocked
there.
out. It's
says
okay. It's on my
said
back
censor.
there. That was
uh,
that's my favorite chapter of the book, though.
Hold on, wait, yeah,
Yeah,
there
there
you go.
you
I'm holding on to
There
it.
we go.
But yeah, they when before Futures, the like basically where they were signed to that major label, they were signed to Capitol. Capitol kind of was very hands off, and so they were like, well, I guess we just figure they had to figure out kind of how to do it on their own anyway, because the label was so hands off with them. So they had a lot of experience putting together, between Clarity and Bleed American, and so when Futures comes around, this is a band who I don't remember though if Bleed American or Futures was the first self-funded album, because they decided to fund it themselves. I don't remember. That was right around then. I don't remember which album it
go.
was, but they were just always taking risks and betting on themselves like that, and it really just paid off for them.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing too. I feel like they've almost done that their whole career a little bit, is they didn't want to be lumped in that those eras of some of the bands that came up in like the emo and like everyone knows elder emos, that there was the MTV, TRL and things like that. And I'm sure there was a Jimmy Eat World song on TRL, but like Jimmy Eat World's always kind of just been on their own path and done what they want to do. And it's worked. It's worked. They've put out things that, and again, maybe some people wish they would go back to certain things. And there's the old heads that are like, Clarity's the best. I don't care. I don't want to listen to anything else. And then there's the people that are like, yes, Clarity to me is the best, but I'm going to listen to the rest of
You can
it.
still
I love
appreciate
them.
everything else. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like because it's like I'll get on TikTok a couple old heads that just are like, it's Bleed American or Clarity. I haven't listened to anything else. And it's like, again, I get it. There's a place and those records are great, but like, and it's always the same kind of like old looking dude that's on my TikTok doing it. And I'm just like, dude,
With that pair of sunglasses, that
yes.
same pair
Sitting
of
in their car.
sunglasses.
Oh my gosh, I can see it now. There, yes. clear, like I need to now edit that somehow and make that into like a something for this episode. Be like, listen, these are the people you've seen. But it's like they're just that consistent band. And I think there's a reason why like we're still listening to them or like looking forward to a release, like they put out something the other day and like I'm pretty sure it's a record coming, right? Like
I
this
think it's an
song.
EP. I think that
Okay.
because they had Something Loud that came out like 2 years ago, which was an awesome song. I
Yes.
really love that song.
So good.
So I think that's on there. I think it's like a 6 song EP or something like that.
Good. I know it's coming up soon too. I should probably know this. I think it's coming up not next week, maybe the week after.
Yeah, something like that.
Oh gosh. Let me see if it'll come up. Yeah, the 14th. So right around
Oh,
the
next
corner,
week. Yeah.
we've got a new EP. But oh my gosh, yeah. Again, guys, this is so great. I want everybody that's listening, watching, go check out Noise Protocol. Go check out Gindicated. All links below. Go check it out because I truly appreciate you guys, Anthony and Pat, coming on here and nerding out with me about this record, talking about it. And yeah, I just appreciate you guys and what you guys do as well. So this was like really cool to do this.
Yeah. Thanks for
Thank you so
having us.
much. It's
Yeah.
literally Pat and I's favorite topic to talk about.